think about time, oh time, how time passes by. Do you still think about how time goes by? Do you, do you, do you, do you, do you, do you?
Modern society's sprawling urban hives seem to celebrate misguided goals. For me, the prevailing Western culture is too loud with nothing to say, too controlling and yet indifferent to individuals, too crowded and disconnected. It disregards the aesthetic beauty of the natural world. The competitiveness and money grubbing left me uninspired. My yin and yang need for solitude and for genuine human affection kept me at the fringe of the main pack of disaffected humanity. I returned to the herd warily, sometimes moving against the pack. If I found myself at this stage unsuited to a more sedentary landbound life, I at least knew the way out. A good little boat and the will to roam are all I require. In Tennyson's Ulysses, even though the old salt was portrayed at times as a crotchety SOB filled with pathos, its overall uplifting message of striving for life in the face of adversity captures the essence of the restless adventurer. Ulysses was unwilling to settle gracefully into old age. He longs for one more quest and exhorts his crew to embark on a final voyage. My mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine and opposed free hearts, free foreheads, you and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all, but something ere the end. Some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. This is an excerpt from Home from Distant Seas by my friend and mentor, James Baldwin. It was written using his memoirs throughout his solo circumnavigating adventures. In 2016, James and I passaged from his home port, Brunswick, Georgia, to the Bahamas on his 28-foot sloop-rigged yacht, Adam. I would love to see the expression on James' face today, him knowing that I am here in Santa Catalina, Panama, on my 37-foot sloop-rigged yacht, Valhalla, and I am now in full swing of my own solo sailing adventures. Lord knows James had his doubts that I was going to follow through with my own plans. Here's to you, James. Thanks for your continued support.
To go for a sail. Got a heavy dew on everything. Kind of a cold night, huh?
I was cozy.
Good. Tools. This is the most important piece of gear right here. This is going to do all the steering offshore. The novice crew should take as many of these as they can stomach, or one is recommended. So this is a tilt-up outboard well I designed, so it can be tilted up when we're sailing, down temporarily for motoring. We've got a fair wind today, but this will help us get out of the slip. It's a noisy little beast, but it can be quite helpful. 6 horsepower. It's considered undersized for this size boat by most sailors. The more experience you have sailing, the less horsepower you need. Last bridge before entering the open sea. There's a metaphor for the freedom of the sea. So we've got a simple safety harness jackline system. We've got the harness on, hook into the jackline. It's long enough to reach the bow or the stern. There's one on the starboard side, and I'll put one on the port side. Keep you with the boat. So I'm normally connected to my harness and jackline all the time when I'm on deck, unless it's flat calm. Because you never know when you're going to take a misstep. Especially now in the winter, cold water, you don't have much of a chance for long in the water. But if you got crew aboard, first thing someone should do is throw a throwable flotation as soon as they see somebody go in the water, and then stop the boat, and then bring the boat back around, deploy a swim ladder, bring them aboard. One of the nice things about a boat with low freeboard is easy to scramble back aboard if you go over. Whereas a bigger boat with higher freeboard, it's more dangerous. It's one of the myths about a large boat being safer than a small boat. A big boat has a lot of lethal components, or things that can injure you, and you just can't manhandle everything like you can on a small boat where the forces are smaller, as well as getting aboard the boat in an emergency. So we're passing out St. Simon Sound. Behind me is Jekyll Island. And the inlet to the ocean. That's right, before you were sailing, you did a long motorcycle trip through Central South America.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I saw that excellent documentary video you made on your YouTube channel.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So that
trip began and ended where?
I started in Los Angeles. I bought a little Yamaha, 1980 Yamaha. It was already 30 years old. And that little trusty bastard got me all the way down to Buenos Aires. It was a great little motorcycle. And I sold it, and that was the end of my motorcycling, you know, but the purpose was the trip. The purpose was just to transverse the road, you know, like I was loving it, you know.
Yeah, it showed in the video. It's beautifully done.
Thank you.
It's kind of a spiritual journey as well as a road journey.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of healing going on in that trip for you. It's like going to sea is also a very healing experience. You can get away from your troubles and stresses on shore and you head out for some adventure.
Repeat.
If people see us, they're gonna make fun of us. They're like, these guys are jokes.
We need a third camera on us.
Yeah,
This
is reality.
Imagine that, right? If we had a third camera clamped on the rail, and we are back and forth, you're on, no, you're on. No, I said you're on first. Yeah, sailing can be a great healing experience for you. It's getting away from the stresses, problems you had on shore. To some extent, you bring your life with you wherever you go. But when you go to sea, there's something different about it. It's a very liberating, freeing, healing experience. You don't always know you need some healing, but after a few days offshore, you start to unwind and relax. You feel good.
A cool morning in December, heading out St. Simon's Inlet with Ian here, making his film. We catch a fair wind, 3 days to the Bahamas from here. And we do have a fair wind to start with. The cold front has passed through. So the wind went from southwest yesterday through northwest, and tonight it's supposed to blow stronger from the north. And we'll head east and then turn southeast towards the Bahamas, cross the Gulf Stream late tonight if the wind holds. And as the wind shifts to northeast, we'll be able to alter our course to the southeast and to the south.
Which with your do you have a blog?
Yeah, I've got my blog website, atomvoyages.com, which I've got a lot of my YouTube videos there. One of my books is there to read free online, and both books are on Amazon also. And so I've documented some of my passages and wrote articles for magazines or just for the blog and the website.
Will you upload your footage to your do you have a following there?
Well, I haven't paid attention to the subscribers to my, for example, my YouTube channel or my website. It's fairly popular though, because I get a lot of emails from people, sailors and would-be sailors, looking for advice. and we fit out small sailboats for voyaging here in Brunswick. My wife and I work together doing that. So a lot of people reach us through our website, and we help kind of get them ready and get their boats ready for sea. It helps if you have somebody with experience that can get you started. Otherwise, it's a pretty long learning curve to learn sailing and then learn how to sail a boat offshore. And you could do it all on your own like I did. It takes years before you could do it safely and competently. Sometimes you get lucky. Young people take off all the time, inexperienced. Most of them survive, but most of them don't make their envisioned destination or plans first time out. A lot of people head out from the East Coast planning on island hopping through the Bahamas and Caribbean, and it's their first cruise. They don't have a lot of experience. The boat isn't very well fitted out, maybe, and they start beating to windward through the Bahamas against the trade winds down the Caribbean, and they often turn back to Florida, sell the boat, or maybe refit and reorganize and head out again.
Wind vane's doing its job, though. I've got triple reef mainsail up. That's good. Get for a while and I have to go down below.
In this 1987 footage, James heads out from the East Coast, sailing Atom through Bahamas and Caribbean, destination Panama. This passage is the first leg of his second circumnavigation. Reminiscing back about this very voyage from his book, Bound for Distant Seas, James writes, I was 28 years old and had recently returned home to Florida from a solo 2-year circumnavigation, only to find myself unhappy at the prospect of remaining ashore in the United States. I sorely missed the excitement, the challenge, and the simple joys I'd known. I had circled the world under sail once. I had not yet seen nearly enough of it and knew there remained many mysteries out there to discover. The obvious and strange thing about circumnavigating is that I ran as far from home as it was possible to go, and yet the journey brought me right back to where I'd started, at least in the physical sense. A further incentive to go back again, if there really was one needed, was finding that back home the stagnant American economy held limited job opportunities. I still possessed a fierce need to be my own master, which left me less employable than before.
Lunchtime. Just made some cornmeal. Got huge crop of sprouts. Put on my sandwich. Mung bean sprouts. Represents 4 days of sprouting. First day, second, third, and fourth. Quite huge.
At this point in time, in 1987, as James disembarks from the East Coast, he is 28 and I am 7 years old, and I am living in Los Angeles, California. Here is LeMay Street Elementary School, where I attended 2nd grade. Disobedient and difficult to educate for my teachers, I was a troubled child from a troubled home. As I chafed against my school indoctrination and the unpleasantness at home, even at that young age, I wanted nothing more than to escape. In James' books, he wrote about the paradox of running away to the sea, to circumnavigate, to arrive back at your starting place, renewed in spirit. He wrote, "The sameness of the city brought within me an impression of closing a circle, of coming back in more than a literal sense to the same place it all began. To circumnavigate the world is not important. Many a solo sailor have made perfectly pointless circumnavigations. It's how you live and sail that gives it meaning." The voyage had been full of promise until the goal was realized. Strangely, the fulfillment was tinged with betrayal. My distant oceans had been crossed and my mountains climbed. To arrive is the end of a journey, not its purpose. There would be another voyage, a return to those blue highways, I told myself. In the many years since, I have rolled down the seas, seeking something beyond the horizon. At whatever age you begin your voyage, I hope you take with you that young person you remember yourself as, on the voyage of the rest of your life. Meanwhile, here in 2016, at the close of our first day out from Brunswick, Georgia, the winter air is cool and the wind is fair. The star-filled night and building winds promise a speedy passage. Our route takes us directly across the infamous Gulf Stream and then south to warmer latitudes, aiming for the Bahamas 350 miles ahead. Our shared journey, where the old salt initiates a green crew, has begun.
I